Seeing that Ukraine was preparing a large-scale counterattack on Kherson, Putin was forced to withdraw his best troops in the Donetsk direction and transfer them to the right bank of the Dnipro River. Ukrainian intelligence claims that Putin is gathering the best landing troops from all directions and deploying them near Kherson. What is Putin up to this time and what should we expect at the front? Let's talk about this right now. It is known that for Putin an attack is the best defense. This is how Putin is going to defend Kherson. He wants to start a new offensive there to expand the foothold on the right bank. Intelligence says that the Russians may try to advance north from Kherson to capture the large industrial city of Zaporizhzhia from the rear. In favor of this version, we also observe the concentration of troops on the left bank of the Dnipro River near the city of Vasylivka. It is obvious that they want to take the city of Zaporizhzhia into pincers. Zaporizhzhia is a large industrial city in Ukraine. The Russians will not be able to assault it, but perhaps they will try to take it under siege, surrounding it on both sides of the river. In Zaporizhzhia there are several large bridges across the Dnipro River, and these bridges are crucial for the Russians. One of these bridges runs along the largest dam in Ukraine. This bridge is almost impossible to destroy, so the Russians hope to have it as a guaranteed connection between the left and right banks. Only in this way will the Russians be able to save their foothold on the right bank. There is also a new large bridge in Zaporizhzhia, which Ukraine built just last year. Thus, Russian troops will try to disrupt the Ukrainian offensive with their counterattack. Ukrainian intelligence officers reported that more than 90% of all Russian landing troops were deployed for this purpose and would be ready any day. And these are the last Russian reserves, which before that had to continue the offensive in the Donbass. It is now clear that Putin is pausing the offensive in the Donbass. He has a more important task: not to allow Ukraine to return Kherson and southern Ukraine under its control. Therefore, we can confidently say that we will have a fierce battle for the south of Ukraine in the coming weeks. According to the US Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, this will be the decisive battle in this war. Whoever stands and wins this battle will dictate the agenda. Who do you think is more likely to win this battle? But also we should not exclude the Russian offensive on Mykolaiv. Naturally, they will not press assault on this city, but will try to take it under siege and surround it. Due to heavy losses, the Russian command refused to assault large cities. And there is no one left to replenish the reserves. So they switched to encirclement tactics. In the Kherson region, the number of checking up on residents by the occupiers has increased. Smartphones and documents are checked at checkpoints, and private houses are searched. The Russians still meet strong resistance from the local population here, which helps the Ukrainian army in every possible way. There is also a network of armed partisans operating there, who have repeatedly blown up railway lines, disrupting Russian logistics. Let's hope Ukraine will soon liberate its occupied territories during its counteroffensive. Ukraine is already almost entirely dependent on arms supplies from the West, so its success directly depends on how many and what kind of weapons it receives from the US and Europe. Ukraine does not experience a shortage of manpower. In contrast, Putin has to find ways to replenish his reserves constantly. After all, he cannot declare a general mobilization in Russia. It would be a defeat for him at home. The fact is that Russian propaganda inspired its population with faith in the great and invincible Russian army. And they justify their slow advance in Ukraine by allegedly liberating the local population, which the Ukrainian army is holding hostage. Such propaganda will hurt Putin himself sooner or later. After all, while the Russian army is advancing, even if very slowly, they still look like winners, conquering village after village. Slow progress can always be explained by concern for civilians. But as soon as the Russian army begins to lose the conquered territories, it will no longer be possible to explain this to Russian citizens. It will look like a clear defeat for the Russian army, and Putin cannot afford any defeat. It will kill his reputation. This is the nature of dictatorship. A dictator is legitimate as long as his army is victorious. All officials and all the people rally around the victorious leader. But as soon as he fails, it brings down his authority. Then he can become a victim even of his inner circle. That is why it is so important for Ukraine to return the Kherson region under its control. Ukraine must demonstrate that the Russian army can be defeated in a single battle. Ukraine needs to show that defeating Russia is quite realistic. The capture of the Kherson bridgehead on the right bank of the Dnipro will greatly demoralize the Russians and raise the morale of the Ukrainians, inspiring them with faith in their army. Ukraine desperately needs this victory now. But unfortunately, Ukraine is experiencing some problems with the supply of Western weapons. These problems are related to two factors. First, the US authorities are still suspicious of the Ukrainian authorities, fearing possible corruption. Naturally, the new president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, has raised the level of trust between Ukraine and the United States to a new level. But there are still people from the old Zelensky's entourage, and some of them are responsible for the purchase of weapons. Secondly, Ukraine must carry out more reforms in its military structures and create a special body to control weapons. Only then will the United States be able to fully trust Ukrainian officials and supply Ukraine with more modern weapons without fear that they will fall into the hands of Russia or other enemies of the democratic world.